It's a beautiful day for a neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Greetings. My name's Jennifer Sue Keel. Thank you for joining us on our next episode of Freedom to Be and Happy to Be Remembered on Channel 1961. Today we are going to meet one of our most theatrically talented residents here at Freedom Village, and I can't wait to introduce you to her. Let's see who it is. Well, Elaine Herman, I'm so excited to spend some time with you today.
Oh, hello. Won't you come in?
I would love to. Thank you, Elaine, for having us today. We're delighted to hear all about your career. So let's talk about it from the beginning. Tell me how you got started in the theater.
Well, when my husband graduated college, I met him in high school, by the way. He went into the service in the Navy. He was a carrier pilot, and we were stationed different places and moved around a lot during the training command. So wherever we were, I would get involved with the local theater, mostly acting. After George was out of the service, we moved to Albany, New York, and I was involved in the theater there, and they had a director coming in for a play from New York City that was supposed to direct it, and something happened that he couldn't make it, and somehow I wound up directing it and found I really loved directing.
So how many years had you been acting before you took a stab at directing?
Many, from I'd say about 1954 up and through the 70s, 60s, 70s, yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your acting career before we get to directing, and maybe some of the roles you had in the favorite plays you participated in.
Oh, okay. I had the good fortune to play some really great roles. I played Billy Dawn in Born Yesterday and Eleanor of Aquitaine in Lion in Winter, but the roles that I really cherished were those of Tennessee Williams' women, with all their neurosis, and I am such a plain ordinary person, I have no neurosis, but I loved playing those characters. I played Blanche Dubois in Streetcar Named Desire. I played Amanda Wingfield twice in Glass Menagerie, and I played Hannah Jelks 3 times in 3 different theaters in a 15-year span. Hannah Jelks in Night of the Iguana. And one other thing connected with those plays, I was at a party. This actor would throw a party every New Year's Day, and everyone from all over connected with the theater would come to it. Well, I walked in, and a man comes up to me and he says, "Oh, Elaine Herman, what have you been doing? I haven't seen you in years." And he saw the blank look on my face and he said, "You don't know me, do you?" And I said, "No." He said, "Oh, I played the bus driver 30 years ago when you were Hannah in Night of the Iguana." Well, 15 minutes later, another man comes up to me and he says, "Hello, hi," and I didn't know who he was. He turned out to be the bus driver in the production in Whittier 5 years later. And then I realized that the host of the party was the bus driver in Night of the Iguana 10 years later.
So how long were you in New York then? Because I know you eventually made your way out to California, so you were in New York and then you made your way. How did you get out to California?
Oh, well, my husband accepted another job in California, so that's how we ended up in Long Beach, California.
Okay. And so you continued your theatrical career in Long Beach.
Yes.
And you were working for the theater there?
Yes, actually, I started directing and acting at Long Beach Playhouse, but I also directed and acted in other theaters in the area, and eventually they decided to hire me, and I was the managing artistic director for 21 years there. We did 16 productions every year in 2 separate theaters, and everything was done in-house.
So with 16 productions a year, you must have had, in 21 years, you must have had some favorites. So tell me about your favorite productions.
Actually, I have two that I'm thinking of because they were produced in Orange County. One of them was Sleuth, which I directed at the Gem Theater. In fact, they had just remodeled the theater, and I think it was their first production. And I have a picture of the wonderful two actors from Sleuth. Then my other production that I really enjoyed was Shirley Valentine, one-woman show starring Dee Dee Rescher, who's quite well known. We had a very successful run in Long Beach, and it was so successful that they repeated it again in their next season. But in the meantime, we took it to LA for a while, and then Laguna Playhouse produced it about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe not even that long ago. This was for Arsenic and Old Lace, and it was a period piece and old ladies with old elderly women, so it needed that old-fashioned look. Here is the same stage with Hay Fever, an old Coward play.
Wow.
A more elegant look. I directed Death Trap there, and this is a set for Death Trap. Again, same stage.
You've transformed
Yeah.
those. I mean, it's amazing.
This was for the studio theater upstairs. That was the Equity Theater. And this is Crossing Delancey, in which I needed to have that was a small stage. I needed to have a kitchen and a bookstore and a park. So all three things are in that one. The most difficult set I ever designed was Blues for an Alabama Sky. It was a show that took place in Harlem. And on the small studio stage, I had to depict an apartment house with a long hallway with 2 rooms, 2 apartments on either side, plus outside before you enter, with the garbage cans and whatever. So this I was very proud of. It came out quite well. This Don't Dress for Dinner farce. This took place in England, and it was a barn converted to a very upscale place, home.
Yes.
And the audience all wanted to move in there
Yes.
afterwards.
Yeah, it looks great.
And last but not least was Sabrina Fair, which I directed on the main stage, and that needed a nice looking upscale house and a garden. So it's very stark, but
That's really amazing how you
So-
transformed that stage.
at the Playhouse, the first play I directed was Tea House of the August Moon. And it takes place in Okinawa during World War II, the American occupation. And one of the cast members was a live goat.
Oh my.
Well, somebody had a very lovely small pet goat, which we used, and it was working out very well. And then all of a sudden, the goat dies of tetanus. So the whole cast, 25 people, had to go to the health department to get tetanus shot. But the problem was, where were we going to get a goat? Well, somebody said there was a farm near where they lived and they thought they had goats. So we obtained this huge, shaggy, dirty goat with great big hooves. Well, all the villagers in the play had bare feet. And the goat not only was stepping on their feet, but it relieved itself all over the stage. One of the characters called Sakini, who's kind of the head of the village, has a very long monologue that he delivers at the beginning of the show, and I had him up on a barrel delivering the monologue. Anyway, he gets up on the barrel, he says 2 lines, he jumps off and starts walking all over the stage, avoiding the puddles, and looking all over the floor, continuing with the whole monologue. Well, after the play, I said, "Jerry, what the heck were you doing?" He said, "Well, on my second line, my bridge flew out of my mouth, and I was so afraid that the goat would step on it and break it that I had to find it." So strange things happen in the theater.
So you told me earlier that you worked a lot of hours to manage all of those responsibilities. So how many hours did you work every day?
Well, normally about 12, because I worked during the day running the Playhouse, and then we had rehearsals every night, so I had to go to those. And then when I was directing a play, we had 6 weeks of rehearsals and then 6 weeks of performances. So it was a second home. I thought I would show one more picture because the the woman on the far left, the actress I should say, on the far left is Joe Black, who lives here. This was a play called Dear Antoine by Ennui. It was a French play, and wonderful cast, but we had one weekend that was rather harrowing. The lead actress on Friday night began to develop laryngitis. By Saturday, her voice was totally gone. So they decided, the cast decided, we had a sold out house, so the cast decided that I would do the role with the book, with the script in hand. So I go to try on her costume, and she's very tall and elegant, and the low neckline came just above my navel. So we realized that wasn't going to work. Besides, it had a long train. It was a period piece that she had to kick every time she turned around, and I had no experience doing that at all. So Joe Black suggested that, we told the audience what had happened, and we said we would give them their money back if they would like to leave, and everybody stayed. Anyway, we ended up, Joe suggested this, that I sit in the wings with a flashlight and do all of the lines while she went through all of the movement.
So, what brought you and George to Freedom Village?
Joe Black.
I love it.
She invited us for lunch. I hadn't seen her for about a year. And my daughter, our daughter I should say, happened to be visiting from Lake Tahoe. And she said, I haven't seen Joe in ages. Can I come too? So we said yes. So anyway, we had lunch with Joe, and our daughter Lori said, Mom, Dad, you've got to move in here. You don't have a second story, this, that. And we said, we're not even thinking of moving. Well, anyway, she and our other two daughters were talking it over, and the other two daughters live in Reno. So we visited them, and they said, let's just look at a place. We'd love to have you here. And so we went and looked at this awful place, which was supposed to be the best one. And the food was so bad, none of us could eat. There were 7 of us. We couldn't eat anything.
Oh, no.
And we all looked at each other and said, no way. So then I said, well, Joe waited a year for her apartment. We'll sign up anyway. Before we knew it, a month later, a place opened up, and about a month and a half later, we were here. And it was a good move for us, and we're very happy here.
Good. Well, we're
Yeah.
very happy to have you here, and it was so fantastic for you to share all of this information with everyone.
Thank
And
you.
so we thank you for joining us on this episode of Freedom to Be and Happy to Be Remembered. And remember, you can always find us on channel 1961. And if you have some special stories you'd like to share, please let us know. We'd love to have you featured on our next episode. Thanks so much for watching.